All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
Legend of the Galactic Heroes, episode 75. Last episode was amazing. Poplin was like this wise sage. It was mind-blowing. Yeah. But then also, there's the whole situation of what do we do about Iserlon? But then the boots are stopped. There's a report about Reuenthal.
Yes.
Apparently, he's up to kinky times in the bedroom.
Oh, you know it.
No, something...
His sex life is even more tainted than Poplin's is.
Yes. But no, I mean, it could just be that. It'd probably be great if it was just that.
It's
but
not that.
It's not that.
It's
a
not
report from Fejan, probably because of Rubinsky and things like that. But yeah.
But also potentially a bit of slander in there because someone is trying to capitalize on a bit of the political war between Reuenthal and Oberstein.
It's like Reuenthal's just like, how dare you make such vile assumptions about me? They're absolutely right, but how dare you?
Yeah. How dare you ad-lib all this extra shit onto it? I wish I could do all that. But
yeah.
I'm too much in love with Reinhardt's, like, actual impressive, like, ruling capacity right now.
His flowing golden locks.
And he's just too dang just successful
Eventually, right now. Reuenthal is just going to get, like, a wig or dye his hair and get extensions or something like that, and he's going to be like, yes. No.
Possibly.
But what will happen here? Who knows?
So, y'all, without further ado, let's get into it. All right, everyone, now be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below, then come back here for the discussion. All right, Reuenthal. This is this is a situation. You're in a bit of hot water, but it's not that hot.
Yeah.
So we're not, getting any frogs boiled today. This is
something
where
there is a snake in this water.
Well, hold on. I think the thing that's good to acknowledge here is that Reuenthal did something that in the old regime would have got him executed.
Right. But we're not on my planet.
But we're not doing that. We don't do that here.
Right.
However, Reinhardt has so much experience with Reuenthal, and so many times where he probably could see if there was ever a point where Reuenthal would get ambitious or seditious in some way, this is the way it would come about. This kind of thing, no.
This isn't his style.
This is not his style. Because I had that conversation with him.
Right, exactly.
Where the old regime, no, it's a rotted corpse that has too much pus that needs to have surgery
done on it, and sometimes it's okay if the patient doesn't survive.
Yeah.
It's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
It's like, and then he keeps on going, and he's like, and by the way, the current, Kaiser, and it's like, okay.
Yeah. We get it, Reuenthal. You have no love for the current regime.
No.
So why would he, in the slightest way, try to set up some kind of noble birth, new line that he could then use to challenge after he maybe assassinates Reinhardt? No.
And holy shit, the whole line of the, I was not aware that, she was pregnant, and if I was made aware, I would have had to abort it.
Yep.
And it's like, oh, really? And it's like, yes, because I don't deserve to be a parent.
Yeah, that's just the, wow, my God.
Wow.
Like, for the ways in which Reuenthal can, in an efficient little segment of words, just completely clear himself.
Yep.
He did it.
Right.
He did it. And what's wonderful about this is that because they investigated him so thoroughly, Reinhardt is obviously armed with all the knowledge he needs to understand him more than he did before.
Right.
So he's looking at this and he's like, "Oh, what a wayward soul," and yet I wouldn't see my empire continuing forth without him.
I've got a good ear for lies. I grew up in the old regime after all. He's telling the truth.
He's telling the truth. He speaks with conviction. He speaks with a blunt honesty.
Right. Like, even when the people were questioning him, he's like, and if it's because you think I would be seditious or, attempt to, overthrow, Kaiser Reinhard, then I thank you for the compliment. That is one of the greatest honors you could do me, but that's not the case.
Yeah, basically saying, if you think I'm actually worthy enough to do that, well, then thanks for the compliment. Yeah, I appreciate
that's
that
how
you
this
see me
regime
so
was
highly.
built. And I, you're basically saying that you think I could follow in Reinhardt's footsteps, and that I think that I could do a better job than him. Wow.
Wow, yeah. It's incredible. And I think I had a little bit of a misinterpretation of Brookdorf's part in this whole thing.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be more of like he could potentially like get Reuenthal in trouble. But.
Yeah, and I think that was because of the stuff with Rubinsky in the previous episode, where basically that there was something where he might be trying to take advantage of the situation, but I think I just misattributed that to Brookdorf when it was just clearly Lang here.
Right.
Like, and Lang is the snake, really.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
And that's what you can really take away from this, is that there is someone who is a problem in this regime.
Yeah.
And, well, this is kind of a good way to figure out who it is. And I feel like Oberstein with the, do not disappoint me, was both a
threat.
Right. It was a do your job. If you're going to do this, then make sure you do a good job of it. But also make sure this doesn't lead back to me.
Right.
Right? Because I have no hand in this. I wash my hands of this. So.
And that's the part that gets weird here. The writing for this show every once in a while just goes to like god tier levels where they set up something
from
that
episode 5 apparently.
Yeah.
Jesus.
This is just so cool. We have a character in our bearded drunk boy here.
Right.
Let's get him up here on our notes here. Bergengrun.
Yeah.
All the way back with his time spent with Kierheis, when they were, just kicking ass, taking names, there were bonds that were forged there.
Yeah.
Not just between him and Kierheis, though, with him and his fellow officers.
Yep.
Now that they're split up on separate fleets, they're both with the Twin Stars, one under Reuenthal, one under Mittermeier. It's a thing of like, hey, let's have a little reunion and see how each other are doing, But they know that Kierheis didn't have to die there.
No, he didn't.
There are missteps that were taken with regards to the security that allowed that other guy, the assassin, basically, to find his way in with a weapon.
Yep.
That's on the security at the time. Now, in that respect, yes, Oberstein might have put not the best people in that position necessarily.
Yeah.
So he's indirectly responsible.
Right. His call to have Kierheis also be not allowed to have his sidearm, or to suggest to Reinhard and advise Reinhard in that way, it was a cold calculating decision, right?
And there's no emotion behind it, no personal
not
bias.
because he doesn't trust Kierheis, but it's a that kind of sets a potentially problematic example for the men in that there are the people that are really close to Reinhard, or really just the one person, and then there's everyone else, right? And that can feel less meritocratic.
Yeah, and here we now see that because of those actions, well, one, Kierheis is dead, but two, there's a possibility that Oberstein might be indirectly causing the demise of another wonderful, talented, admiral.
With the best of intentions, because
intentions don't matter.
No, totally, right. But there's Lang who's doing this clearly just for personal gain, right? Whereas then there's Oberstein, who he was the other one who jumped in the way of the attack from the assassin way back then. He knows
his loyalty is not in question.
Right, his loyalty is not in question. Yeah. He's maybe just a bit too protective of the fact that I can sense that ambition from Reuenthal, and I don't know him as well as some of the other people here, right?
And I don't care about the emotional biases of those people, because that's not necessarily good character witness.
Exactly.
Oberstein is the kind of person that probably looks at everything through the cold, hard lens of what did or didn't happen. Not actually how you interpret what did or didn't happen.
And he isn't even pushing this forward.
He isn't.
Right?
No.
It's just this will get brought up.
Yeah. Yeah, if anything, I think that Oberstein understands that it would be weird for him to try to stop this.
Sure.
Let it happen.
Yeah.
But Lang, on your head be it if you fail with how you do this properly.
Right. And that doesn't necessarily mean if you fail to get Reuenthal, like, punished for it or whatever.
Right.
Just, yeah. It gives me very much like A Few Good Men vibes when it's okay, you want to accuse an officer of this ranking of a felony without proper evidence. It's like, that's,
good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is in a case where we have the third-person omniscient perspective, and that Reuenthal does wish to oust Reinhardt at some point, if he is capable of doing that.
Yep, and if it's needed.
But right now, there's no reason for Reuenthal to make any kind of a move.
Nope.
But what we see brewing here is the idea that Bergengruen openly admitted to Bülow that if this were to take place, that he might take drastic action.
Right, and this is why this Reinhardt is the crossroads of where you can decide what kind of ruler you're going to be. Are you going to be Goldenbaum or are you going to be Lohengrin? Because Goldenbaum would be like, just to be sure.
Just to be sure.
Let's do something here.
Oh my God.
And that sets a bad precedent.
Very bad precedent.
Because something that might seem like a little discrepancy, a little bit of, whatever, just err on the side of caution, that gets magnified over the course of history,
And we already have a setup as to why things can go horribly wrong, despite things going so well this episode, is that they said, well, why don't we have the girl just and Reuenthal talk? And he's like, no, you idiot. If they do that, then the secret police ex-guy, he can just make her testify to whatever he wants.
Well, but and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe what he was saying is that would be great, but the person isn't going to let us do that because, as it is, he has control of the witness. He can.
Well, right, but I think it's also just the danger of they sense him as more the threat to Reuenthal. Because he's the one pushing this.
Right.
So it's the thing of, well, prosecution is going to manipulate the witness, basically.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but they were talking about the Minister of, Military Affairs or whatever, which is Oberstein, not Lang, the internal security guy. Right? So it's something where Lang is doing something, technically getting Oberstein's approval because he answers to him, basically.
Military Affairs Minister, I believe, is Oberstein.
Right.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, exactly. Which is why it causes the extra discontent among the officers. Yeah. Because they're basically seeing this as being something that Oberstein is doing. And Oberstein, this is actually kind of where you're making a mistake, because no decision is also a decision, right?
That's
so
true.
The fact that you're letting Lang do this, that does make it still fall on you.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, Lang does not have a track record in order for you to, in my opinion, fully be able to trust that he will make sure that it's handled properly.
And this is the thing, though, is that if we actually go through this with a little bit of devil's advocate, Oberstein could actually want Reuenthal to be taken down.
I think he does.
Yeah. In fact, that might be this whole thing's plan. Is that he's like, oh, I have pretty good deniability with regards to this, and I'm going to use the fact that you, Lang, have this, thing here with regards to how you don't like him, but also some of the stuff that we've seen Oberstein and Fahrenheit kind of talk about behind closed doors.
Right, and Oberstein, while you are being very mechanical and technical with how you go about this, I feel like he's kind of ignoring the potential repercussions of if someone of Reuenthal's caliber within Reinhardt's organization gets punished for something so relatively small compared to the wealth of benefit that he's brought to the table.
Right, because I don't think that punishment means execution.
No. Yeah.
I don't think that punishment means anything like that. I think punishment could mean demotion.
Right, which even so is like...
No, that's a good point. But I would put Mueller up there and be like, yep, There's a worthy replacement. There you go. Like, I wouldn't immediately realize that as some kind of grand problem.
Wasn't Mueller actually already promoted to Fleet Admiral?
Mueller is...
or High Admiral,
no,
yeah.
Well, no, but that's where all the other admirals are at.
That's right.
Yeah, no, if anything, there's always been these 3 fleet admirals.
That's
Mittermeier,
right.
Oberstein, and Reuenthal.
Right, and then Mueller just got the
He got the-
prototype.
Yeah, he got the
warship
special
and all that
ship,
stuff.
and he also has just a nice fancy title because of
Right.
how just
Yeah.
impactful he's been recently. And if I had to choose among any of these high admirals who would replace Reuenthal if he got demoted, I would 100% pick Mueller
Not
here.
Bittenfeld? But yeah, it's oh man, I am very curious to see how this goes, because since this is episode 75, we're getting closer and closer to the end of the series.
Still 35 episodes.
Still 35 episodes.
That's
35
a
episodes
lot of story that can
is
happen.
Oh yeah, a lot of story that can happen. But as far as like, there's this part of me that wonders whether Reinhardt's regime will really succeed in the long term. Whether it will be the regime that goes into the future of the.
Because Reinhardt right now is still a single point of failure. He has no kids. If he gets Alexander the Greated and all of his admirals basically start to split things up and it turns into something like that, I think that at the very least someone like Oberstein or someone like Mariendorf might be able to right the ship before things go too badly, because they have such a potentially good dynamic with some of the highest of the admirals, which means they have enough of the ships to where it won't turn into immediate, like, 3 or 4 factions civil war.
Sure.
There is a possibility that while Reinhardt's regime, like his aspect of that, won't last,
this new empire basically.
Yeah, something will be reborn out of it.
Right, because the thing I'm worried about right now is that if Reinhardt takes the action against Reuenthal, and that instigates rebellion and insurrection from some of the troops, could that then be sort of like a powder keg getting set off?
Chain reaction. Things.
Yang still has Iserlon. If then Fejon sees that as the opportunity to rebel, then Reinhardt and most of his fleet is stuck over an alliance space that could very quickly become unfriendly.
Right.
And then, what do you do? Right? Like that's the maximum possible damage that I see, basically. Right?
Yeah.
But it's not like the alliance can actually come back. Like, it's just
no. They'll find something else to keep the flame of democracy going.
Right.
But it will be much smaller and much more fledgling than anything else that gets reborn out of a fallen Lohengram dynasty.
Right. But we did have the narrator saying that Reinhardt was assessing all of the military situation in the universe, and Yang also knew that he was doing that. So it feels like we're pretty safe on that regard.
Yeah. And then it's just what really the other big faction that I just love that they're just still out there somewhere is the Rubinsky and Church of Terra side of things.
Right.
That's where things are going to go wonky.
Yep. But what I hope we get out of this is that Lang gets taken out, whether executed or thrown into
Demoted.
a jail cell or whatever. Yeah, he
pushed even further down the ladder.
Gets put on an orange farm. Who knows, right?
Gets revealed to be a member of the Church of Terra, and it's just
no, darn.
Oh well, I guess. And then shot.
He bit a capsule in his tooth.
So, y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below. For our Patreon, you can get an early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general, and also be sure to check out our Twitch channel.
We stream every weekday. The info's in the description.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.